Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. আমরা এখন review of systemic bacteriology and clinical microbiology এটা নিয়ে একটা ক্লাস করব। এটা পরীক্ষার জন্য খুব গুরুত্বপূর্ণ এবং এখানে শুধু এসেনশিয়াল জিনিসগুলোই আলোচনা করা হবে। A review of systemic bacteriology and clinical microbiology. প্রথমে আমরা ল্যাবরেটরি ডায়াগনোসিস, প্রিন্সিপাল অফ ল্যাবরেটরি ডায়াগনোসিস অফ ব্যাকটেরিয়াল ডিজিজ এটা দিয়ে শুরু করি। Bacterial disease diagnosis, laboratory diagnosis of bacterial disease is based on four things: demonstration of the causative agent by microscopic examination. Some bacterial disease can be diagnosed by this step. Second, culture or isolation and identification. And third, immunological test, that is detection of antibody or antigen. And fourth, detection of their genes by PCR. So the steps for laboratory diagnosis of bacterial disease include: we will have to collect the specimen according to site of infection. For example, if pulmonary tuberculosis is put on, if there is diarrhea, stool, if UTI, urine, etc. Microscopy, definitely microscopy has an important role and is the starting of the microbiology. Microscopy can be light microscopy or fluorescence microscopy or diagram microscopy, can be stained or unstained. Stain can also be special stain and simple stain and weight proportionals. Culture, for culture, different bacteria requires different media, incubation time, temperature, environment, different time. And immunological test, for detection of antibody, we need blood. For detection of antigen, we need different body fluids based on site of infection. And nucleic acid-based techniques can be applied to many bacterial disease. Let us start with the Streptococcus. This is a common question sometimes asked by: how can you classify Streptococcus? There are many pathogenic species in the genus Streptococcus, and the classification is complex. Following points are important. First of all, we can classify based on oxygen requirement, based on hemolysis in blood agar, based on group and type specific cell wall antigen, and based on their M protein antigen. Based on oxygen requirement, they can be aerobic and facultative anaerobe. If obligate anaerobe and facultative anaerobe, obligate anaerobe Peptostreptococcus, facultative anaerobe most of the Streptococci. Based on hemolysis in blood agar, this is proposed by Brown in 1919. On this basis, in blood agar, beta hemolytic, that is clear hemolysis around the surrounding the colony, alpha hemolytic and non-hemolytic. Streptococcus pyogenes, Streptococcus group B, C, G, they are beta hemolytic. Most of the beta hemolytic are pathogenic. Alpha hemolytic, Streptococcus viridans, pneumoniae, and many alpha hemolytic are also pathogenic. Gamma hemolytic, Streptococcus faecalis, Enterococci, etc. Based on their group and type specific cell wall antigen, this has been proposed by Lansfield, Rebecca Lansfield in 1933. Based on cell wall carbohydrate antigen, there are 19 groups, A, B, C, D to U, V, of which group A, B, C, D, and G they contain the human pathogens. And based on cell wall M protein antigen, the group A are further typed into more than 80 serotypes. Some are rheumatogenic and some are nephrogenic. It is to be mentioned here that the grouping and typing has no relation with the beta hemolysis, because many beta hemolytic many alpha hemolytic, they are also pathogenic, but beta hemolytic has got this important that whether they are group A or not. If it is group A, then it can there can be rheumatogenic or nephrogenic species. This is the importance of grouping and typing. What are the post-streptococcal disease? There are AGN and rheumatic fever. And which one is type 2 and which one is type 3 hypersensitivity mediated reaction? AGN, acute glomerulonephritis, type 3, and rheumatic fever is type 2. And what is the clinical significance of Streptococcus group B and group D? Group B causes neonatal meningitis, and group D causes UTI, and this UTI is frequently drug resistance, and nowadays it has been renamed as enterococci. Why Streptococcus group B causes neonatal meningitis, and what are the other causes? How can you prevent it? Because it is normal, is the resident or normal flora of female genital tract. Escherichia coli also cause neonatal meningitis due to vaginal caries, and prophylactic ampicillin should be given to the carriers. Staphylococcus. Staphylococcus is the most important gram-positive cocci that causes many diseases involving almost all systems. So, as they cause many diseases, they can be described under the following headings. Some diseases are due to direct infection, invasion, and some are toxin mediated. Direct invasion, these are pneumonia, and pneumonia occurs secondary to viral upper respiratory tract infection. Sometimes they can cause meningitis, and an important cause of osteomyelitis in children, acute bacterial endocarditis, septic arthritis, they can cause in old age group, and some skin infections. In most of the books, skin infections is written first, but we will have to remember all the infections. Impetigo, cellulitis, boil, furuncle, carbuncle, wound infection, etc. It can also cause bacteria, septicemia, and urinary tract infection. So direct infection, many diseases can be caused by Staphylococcus aureus. Exotoxin diseases are gastroenteritis or food poisoning, only enterotoxin producing strain, and this is toxin type. There is a rapid onset of vomiting and diarrhea with a rapid recovery. Toxic shock syndrome, another toxin superintelligent toxin mediated disease, which is characterized by high fever, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, discoloration of palm and soles, and scalded skin syndrome. These are toxin mediated. So as it causes many diseases, sometimes it is asked what are the virulence factors, important virulence factors of Staph aureus. Important virulence factors can be divided into three categories. Factors that disable immune defense, factors that destroy the tissue, and exotoxins. Factors that disable or interfere with immune defenses are protein A, coagulase, hemolysin, leukocidin, penicillinase. Protein A binds with the FC portion of IgG. It's unusual. Usually, all protein binds with the FAB portion, but this is the binds with the FC portion. It may protect from opsonization and phagocytosis. Coagulase leads to fibrin formation and protects from phagocytosis. Hemolysins, they destroy RBC, neutrophil, macrophage, and platelets. Leukocidin destroy leukocytes. Penicillinase disrupt beta-lactam ring of penicillins. Tissue-destroying factors are hyaluronidase, also known as a spreading factor, breakdown proteoglycans of connective tissue, staphylococcus and lipase. Lipase degrades fats and oils of skin and facilitates Staph aureus colonization of sebaceous gland. There are three exotoxins: exfoliatin, responsible for sloughing of the skin and causing scalded skin syndrome; enterotoxin, responsible for toxin type food poisoning; toxic shock syndrome toxin, similar to pyrogenic toxin of Streptococcus pyogenes and cause toxic shock syndrome. Enterobacter C is a very big family and important for examination, and properties and classification very often asked. What are the properties of Enterobacter C? They are aerobic or facultative aerobic gram-negative bacilli. All of them ferment glucose with production of acid or acid and gas. All of them reduce nitrate to nitrite, oxidase negative. Some are motile, and when they are motile with Peritychus flagella, and some are non-motile also. Some are commensal, and some are pathogenic to humans. They can be classified on different bases like lactose fermentation, enteric pathogenicity, and systemic classification, of which clinically important is clinical classification. Clinical classification based on their enteric pathogenicity. Primarily intestinal pathogen, primarily extraintestinal pathogen, and both intestinal and extraintestinal pathogen. Shigella and Yersinia enterocolitica are primarily intestinal pathogen. They do not cause in other body site. Both intestinal as well as extraintestinal pathogen, Salmonella and Escherichia coli, they cause intestinal as well as extraintestinal infection. Extraintestinal always Klebsiella, Proteus, Enterobacter, Cytobacter, and all other members. There is another classification based on lactose fermentation. This is not that important for the clinically, because nowadays lactose fermenter, non-fermenter, all can cause enteric diarrhea. So it's not important nowadays. Still, it is asked in the examination. So lactose fermenters are Escherichia coli, Klebsiella, Enterobacter, Cytobacter. Non-lactose fermenters are Salmonella, Shigella, Proteus, and late lactose fermenters Shigella soni, Cytobacter, Providentia, and Serratia. Let us discuss about the those members of Enterobacter C which causes extra-intestinal infection, especially Klebsiella, Proteus, Enterobacter, Cytobacter, Serratia, etc. All of them causes urinary tract infection, septicemia, meningitis, and nosocomial infection. Another question is diseases caused by Escherichia coli. Escherichia coli, number one cause of UTI, about 80% in community-acquired infection. It also causes gastroenteritis of all varieties by diarrheogenic Escherichia coli, we will discuss. And others means it can cause septicemia, meningitis, nosocomial infection, etc. What about the Salmonella? Salmonella disease varies with the species. The Salmonella typhi, paratyphi A, B, C, they cause enteric fever. Salmonella cholera suis cause septicemia, and Enteritidis gastroenteritis. So all Salmonella species do not cause similar disease. It varies with the species, and this is important to remember. Diarrheogenic Escherichia coli. We all know Escherichia coli is a resident flora of our intestine, and usually they do not cause diarrhea unless they become virulent by acquisition of plasmid or bacteriophage. And when they acquire the virulence, they become diarrheogenic, and they are named differently, like enteropathogenic Escherichia coli, enterotoxigenic Escherichia coli, enteroinvasive, enteroaggregative, and virocytotoxic production. There are more names also. So enteropathogenic Escherichia coli, they cause infantile diarrhea in tropical countries by invasion. Enterotoxigenic Escherichia coli, they cause traveler's diarrhea. Also infantile diarrhea, they cause by labile toxin and stable heat stable toxin. Enteroinvasive Escherichia coli cause Shigella-like dysentery by invasion. Verocytotoxin producing Escherichia coli, VTEC, they cause hemorrhagic colitis and hemorrhagic uremic syndrome. And enteroaggregative, they cause persistent diarrhea. What is enteric fever? Why it is so called? And how can it be diagnosed? Enteric fever is a systemic illness manifested by fever and other symptoms caused by specific Salmonella species like Salmonella typhi, paratyphi AB. They are so called because their main lesion occurs in the intestine, peristalsis. And their main principle of diagnosis is blood culture and detection of Salmonella antigens from the blood plus some antibody detection test. So we can discuss in details. Laboratory diagnosis of enteric fever is based on isolation of Salmonella by blood culture, by immunological test, that is detection of antibody by Widal test, and antigen. And the test of choice varies with the duration of illness. Blood culture, antigen detection, and PCR is in the first week, and Widal test is helpful in second week onwards. Blood culture, there are three processes: traditional, lytic, and automated. By automated method, you can diagnose within 6 hours. Immunological test are Widal test and PCR test. So this is about laboratory diagnosis of pulmonary tuberculosis. Sometimes they ask what are the recent advances. Actually, pulmonary tuberculosis diagnosis based on all the techniques developed by in the field of microbiology, starting from microscopy to molecular methods. All methods are important. So microscopy, Jaden stain smear and rhodamine, auramine stain smear are very useful, and if standardized, they can diagnose a large percentage of cases. Culture is very time consuming, special media requires, and to be incubated aerobically for 4 to 6 weeks. That takes very much. Immunological tests, there are many immunological tests like ICT, ELISA, quantiferon, Montos test, and nucleic acid based tests, PCR, real-time PCR, gene expert. These are all used for diagnosis of pulmonary tuberculosis. What are anaerobic bacteria and why they cannot tolerate oxygen? Can classify them. Anaerobic bacteria, group of bacteria that do not use oxygen for growth and metabolism, and they fail to grow on the surface of solid medium in ambient temperature. They cannot tolerate oxygen because of lack of some enzymes like superoxide dismutase and catalase. They can be classified gram-negative bacilli, important member is Bacillus fragilis, gram-positive bacilli, spore-forming, that is Clostridium, non-spore-forming, Actinomyces and Lactobacillus, gram-positive cocci, Peptostreptococci, gram-negative cocci, Veillonella. What are the virulence factors of Neisseria gonorrhea? How can you diagnose a case of gonorrhea in adult female? Virulence factors of Neisseria gonorrhea includes pili, lipo-oligosaccharide, outer membrane proteins, IgA1 protease, and iron binding protein. Pili, it helps in adherence to the target epithelial cell, that is genital epithelial cell, and also they interfere with phagocytosis. Lipo-oligosaccharides, endotoxin, like other endotoxin, it has similar action. Outer membrane protein, OMP1 and 2, they helps in adhere to target epithelial cell. IgA1 protease cleaves IgA1 that defends the mucosal surface. Why is Haemophilus so called? And name the diseases caused by Haemophilus influenzae B. Haemophilus means blood loving. They require heated blood agar for their growth. So they are called Haemophilus. And the diseases caused by Haemophilus influenzae B can be divided into common and rare infections. Common infections include, most of them are upper respiratory infection, meningitis, otitis media, sinusitis, septic arthritis. And rare infections include acute epiglottitis, bacteremia, septicemia, endocarditis. Barton Russell, a quote for students: passive acceptance of the teacher's wisdom is easy to most boys and girls. It involves no effort of independent thought and seems rational because the teacher knows more than his pupils. It is moreover the way to win the favor of the teacher unless he is a very exceptional man. Yet the habit of passive acceptance is a disastrous one in our intellectual life. It causes man to seek and to accept a leader and to accept as a leader whoever is established in that position. তো আমরা পোস্ট গ্রাজুয়েট স্টুডেন্টদেরকে বলতাম যে আমরা তোমাদের মাছ দেব না, মাছ ধরার জন্য জাল দেব এবং বলে দেব যে কোথায় মাছ পাওয়া যায়, তাহলে তোমাদেরকে আমরা সেভাবে তৈরি করতে পারবো। Sore throat. Sore throat is a common problem. Sometimes some of the sore throat are acute emergency and some has a long-term effect. Sore throat due to Corynebacterium diphtheria, now it is very rare, now it is acute emergency. And sore throat due to Streptococcus pyogenes has got long-term complication because it leads to rheumatic fever, and diphtheria leads to obstruction and tracheostomy. Economic diphtheria is very common. Another tricky question is, can all Corynebacterium diphtheria cause diphtheria? If not, why? And how can you test toxicity? The answer is not all Corynebacterium diphtheria can cause diphtheria. Only toxigenic strains can cause diphtheria. And these toxigenic strains is due to presence of Corynephas with the bacteria. Non-toxigenic strains, however, they can cause pharyngitis. And we can say this is a virobacterial disease. That is, if a Bacteriophas corynephas attacks the Corynebacterium diphtheria, then it can cause diphtheria. Otherwise, it can cause only pharyngitis, mild. Vibrio cholerae is very important in our country. But the question is why it is important in our country and how it causes diarrhea. Vibrio cholerae is very important in our country for the following reasons. It causes cholera, which is endemic as well as epidemic in our country. One strain of Vibrio cholerae, that's O139, is known as Vibrio cholerae bengal. So another is Professor K. Monsoor discovered a media for Vibrio culture that is known as Monsoor's media for cultivation of. And Robert Koch, he, the father of medical microbiology, visited Calcutta Medical College to examine the stool of cholera patient to discover the Vibrio cholerae. And ORS is has been popularized by ICDDRB. This is cholera is caused by a powerful toxin known as cholera toxin, and similar toxin is found in ETEC, that is enterotoxigenic Escherichia coli. Sometimes it is asked how Vibrio differs from Enterobacteriaceae. Very easy questions. Vibrio are curved bacilli, whereas Enterobacteriaceae are straight. Vibrio is motile by single polar flagella and Enterobacteriaceae by peritracheous flagella. Vibrio are oxidase positive and Enterobacteriaceae are oxidase negative. Vibrio can grow in alkaline pH, but Enterobacteriaceae cannot. Which bacteria is associated with peptic ulcer disease, and how can you diagnose in the lab, and what is the treatment? Helicobacter pylori is associated with peptic ulcer disease. They cause gastric duodenal ulcer, chronic superficial gastritis, and associated with increased risk of gastric carcinoma. Lab diagnosis is based on isolation of bacteria from gastric biopsy, rapid urease test, and serology for detection of antibody. And culture requires a special media and microaerophilic environment. They need to be treated by triple antibiotic therapy. What is Weil-Felix test, and what is the basis of this test, and what is the name of these antibodies? Weil-Felix test named our two scientists. It is a serological test based on the cross reaction between the antigens of Proteus and Rickettsia. You know, Rickettsia cannot be cultured easily in the laboratory. So this scientist, they discovered that antigens from Proteus species can be used for detection of antibody against some rickettsial disease. These antigens are alkali stable polysaccharide antigen, and they cross-react with shared by certain instances of Proteus species. So OX19, OX2, and OXK antigens are used to detect heterophile antibodies of rickettsia. Sometimes common etiology bacterial etiology is asked in the viva. UTI, you should understand there's only 4 or 5 bacteria are involved. Most common is Escherichia coli, following Klebsiella proteus Pseudomonas, and only few gram-positive bacteria, Staph saprophyticus, Streptococcus group D. Meningitis, also only 5 bacteria. Neisseria meningitidis, Streptococcus pneumoniae, Streptococcus group B, Haemophilus influenzae, and Escherichia coli. It covers about more than 95% of the meningitis cases. Diarrhea, also there are common pathogens like classical pathogens, Shigella, Salmonella, and diarrheogenic Escherichia coli, very important. Before Escherichia coli were not included in the cause of diarrhea, but nowadays they are responsible for more than 1/3 cases. Campylobacter jejuni is also important. Vibrio cholerae in epidemic situation, and Entamoeba histolytica giardia, very low percentage. Rotavirus is very important. Besides the diarrheogenic Escherichia coli, rotavirus is about responsible for 1/3 of cases of diarrhea in children. Sore throat. We must remember that most of the sore throat are viral, 85%. Rhinovirus, adeno, corona, picorna, influenza, parainfluenza, coxsackie. Only 15% are bacterial, and most important is Streptococcus pyogenes. Corynebacterium diphtheria nowadays almost nil. Neisseria gonorrhoeae, it is not in our country, but in some other countries. So in our country, Streptococcus pyogenes is the only bacterial infection we need to identify and use antibiotics, because following Streptococcal pyogenes infection, there is rheumatic fever. Septicemia, the meningitis and septicemia cause are same. Neisseria meningitidis, Streptococcus pneumoniae, group B, H. influenzae, Escherichia coli, and Salmonella also. Pneumonia cause varies with age. In children, mostly viral. In adults, bacteria. And you see, most of the bacteria with pneumonia, they are the cause of the pneumonia. Say, if we cover the bacterial cause, you see, Streptococcus pneumoniae responsible for 20 to 60% of commonly occurred pneumonia. Haemophilus influenzae 5 to 15%. Mycoplasma pneumoniae, they are cause of primary atypical. Chlamydia pneumonia also primary atypical. Chlamydia psittaci, Klebsiella pneumoniae, responsible for hospitalized pneumonia in hospitalized patient. Pseudomonas aeruginosa causes pneumonia in cystic fibrosis. Viral causes include influenza virus, this they cause primary viral pneumonia, parainfluenza virus, measles virus, coronavirus is important, especially COVID-19. And among the fungal causes, there are Pneumocystis carinii and Aspergillus fumigatus. Let us discuss a little bit about specific syndrome, laboratory diagnosis of a specific syndrome. Laboratory diagnosis of urinary tract infection very often asked because it diagnosed by semi-quantitative culture of urine. Of the common microbial diseases, this is the only disease where the semi-quantitative culture, that is colony count, is important. Sometimes examiner can ask why you need colony count. This answer is very simple. To differentiate contamination from actual infection. In case of contamination, number of colony will be less than 10 to the power 3, but in case of infection, that will be more than 10 to the power 3 in case of male, and in case of female, more than 10 to the power 5. Specimen, you need clean catch mid-stream urine. Clean catch means you will have to clean the genitalia, urethral portion, and mid-streams means just you leave the first initial stream, then you take the middle portion just to avoid the contamination. Or in case of infants, you can take suprapubic puncture urine. You can do microscopy of the centrifuge deposit or uncentrifuged also for provisional diagnosis. Pus cell, if it is present, centrifuge deposit more than 5 or 10 or high power field, it's indication. Culture, in urine culture, we need to culture measured amount of urine by a calibrated loop or micropipette, and if we need to do the colony count, if the colony count is 10 to the power 5 per ml, that is significant colony count. In other cases, we don't need this colony count, so don't ask colony count for diarrheal disease or meningitis or pneumonia or other cases. Colony count is required for urinary tract infection. Mainly, there are some other exceptions also, like laboratory diagnosis of diarrheal disease. One can say it is very easy, but it's very tough. It is based on the demonstration of causative agent by microscopy, isolation identification by culture, and also by immunological test and some special test. We need freshly passed stool or rectal swab, microscopy of saline, iodine, and gel enzyme preparation is helpful to diagnose Entaimba histolytica, Giardia, Lamblia, Cryptosporidium, and to determine the nature of the diarrhea by seeing pus cell, macrophage, and RBC. Presence of pus cell, macrophage, and RBC will give you a clue that the diarrhea is invasive. Culture to be done in a special media based on suspicion. We need Meconium agar, Salmonella Shigal agar, TCBS, and Kempi blood agar plate if we suspect Campylobacter jejuni. And incubation also varies. Mostly 37 degrees centigrade for usual pathogens, but for Campylobacter it needs 42 degrees centigrade at microaerophilic condition. Immunological test can be done for rotaviral antigen, Clostridium difficile toxin, and immunological test can also be done for Entaimba histolytica and Giardia lamblia antigen. There are some special tests for diarrheogenic Escherichia coli that done in only reference laboratory, and multiplex PCR can also be done for diagnosis of diarrheal diseases. Laboratory diagnosis of meningitis, it is also a little bit different from other ones, because besides the bacteriological test, we also need some cytological and biochemical test that helps in diagnosis. So a specimen will be CSF and blood. Microscopy of the CSF for total count and differential count of WBC, and gram staining smear of the centrifuged smear is helpful for diagnosis. Culture to be done in blood agar, chocolate agar, Meconium agar, and if there is delay, they should be kept in the incubator, not in the refrigerator. If we keep in the refrigerator, the microorganisms will die because most of the meningitis causing bacteria are very fastidious bacteria, and they cannot tolerate the dry or cold. You can diagnose by immunological test detection of bacterial antigens and antigen of Cryptococcus neophens from CSF by lattice agglutination and other immunological tests. CSF sugar and protein is routinely done. Usually CSF sugar is reduced in pyogenic meningitis and protein is increased in pyogenic meningitis. what are the common causes of sexually transmitted diseases? There are bacterial, viral, protozoal, fungal, and others. Among the bacteria, all are gram-negative: Neisseria gonorrhoeae, Treponema pallidum, Chlamydia trachomatis, serotype D to K, responsible for non-gonococcal urethritis; Chlamydia trachomatis, serovar L1, 2, 3, responsible for lymphogranuloma venereum; Calymaitobacterium granulomatis, Haemophilus ducreyi, Chancroid, Mycoplasma, also they cause non-gonococcal urethritis, and Gardnerella vaginis, of which Mycoplasma and Chlamydia, they are responsible for non-gonococcal urethritis, which is more common than gonococcal urethritis. Among the viral causes, papillomavirus, herpes simplex virus 2, HIV, and hepatitis B virus; protozoal causes, Trichomonas vaginalis; fungal causes, Candida albicans, and others, Sarcoptes scabiei, they can also cause STD. The whole art of teaching is only the art of awakening the natural curiosity of young minds for the purpose of satisfying afterwards. So, এটাই হলো একজন টিচারের কাজ, যে কিউরিওসিটি ডেভেলপ করা, যাতে করে তারা সারা জীবন ধরে শিখতে পারে। এটাই আমাদের উদ্দেশ্য। আমরা চাই মাইক্রোবায়োলজিটাকে আনন্দদায়ক করতে, সহজ করতে। তো সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ এই ক্লাস অংশগ্রহণ করার জন্য। আসসালামু আলাইকুম ওয়া রাহমাতুল্লাহ।